Attention all horror enthusiasts. Get ready to dive into the world of Chilling 2.0. They've revamped everything to bring you an enhanced listening experience with a brand new look. The best part, Chilling is now completely free. Yeah, you heard it right. No more barriers, just pure spine-tingling enjoyment at no cost. And get ready for an expanded library of terror. Explore a vast range of new content, including full-length novels, gripping podcasts, and so much more. We've curated a collection that will keep you on the edge of your seat, craving for more. And discover exciting features like creator profiles where you can follow your favorite narrators and authors. Stay in the loop and never miss a release again. Engage in lively community discussions and connect with fellow horror lovers and exchange spine-chilling recommendations. Embrace yourself for the ultimate scare. Chilling now has video content coming your way this summer. Get ready to witness horror unfold before your eyes in a whole new dimension. So why wait? Start your free listening journey on Chilling today. Unleash the fright and immerse yourself in a world of tales that will haunt your dreams. Download the app and embark on an unforgettable horror experience. I don't like to think about the event. In the intervening 10 years since it went down, I have gone out of my way to memory hole any details about what happened. But as much as I try to forget, snippets of the encounter bubble up all the time. I've never told anyone about this. Outside of the few people involved, no one else in the world knows this happened. But it did happen. Recently, more and more of these memories have started to stalk me again. Some nights I can shut off my brain because all I can do is lay in bed and replay the trauma over and over. The last few months have been rough. I couldn't sleep and it was beginning to affect my day-to-day life. My therapist, who had sensed a change in me, suggested that I confront my trauma head-on and write about it. I thought that it was pretty dumb, but I was desperate. They said, when you have nobody to talk to your journal. I've written all this down, hoping that it'll help purge my brain of this whole mess. Deep down I know it won't, but I have to try because, well, I just have to try. It can't get better if I don't deal with it. All of it. It was around Halloween during my senior year of high school. I wasn't trick-or-treating anymore, but my friends and I were still looking for something to do. Sitting at home during the best holiday of the year seemed like a waste. We were young and restless, but we also knew this would be the last year that we saw each other every day. Things were changing and we were looking to make a few lasting memories while we still could. Someone upstairs must have been listening because we got word that Janet Franklin's aunt had died. While it was a shame that her aunt had died, it became a blessing for the senior class. A dead, out-of-town aunt meant that Janet's parents would be gone for a few days for the funeral. Janet couldn't go because she was a hair away from failing out and couldn't afford to miss any more school. As soon as the word got out, everybody knew where we would be for Halloween. I was psyched for the bonfire, the beer, and Brianna Johnson. I had had a crush on her for years and I finally decided to shoot my shot. Were the odds stacked against me? According to my friends then, the rational parts of my brain, yes, but I didn't care. I was going to go for broke. The worst thing that could happen would be that she says no. I would deal with the fallout for half a year and then go off to college. The best thing, well, I didn't want to get too far ahead of myself. The evening of the party, I remember there being 3 of us at the liquor store. It was me, Michael, and Moose, the trio. We were friends from way back and spent every day hanging out after school. I can still see us shooting it in Moose's garage, smoking dirt weed and laughing ourselves silly. There were always 3 of us. When we heard a party was going down, we figured that we would score some cool points by bringing alcohol. We weren't unpopular exactly, but we weren't in the upper echelon of high school society. Looking back, using terms like cool points probably held back our ascent to the heights of high school. But we did have one thing that many kids didn't: a connection for hooch. The local place was Royal Liquor, and our dude was Rusty. Rusty looked like his name, a natural-born dirtbag. He knew that we were underage, but he sold booze to us anyway. Granted, he overcharged us and pocketed the extra cash, but whatever. The small price to pay for a steady stream of Boone's Farm and Southern comfort. We entered the store and gave him a nod before we ducked down the aisle towards the booze coolers. I was about to grab a bottle when we heard the doorbell chime and saw a cop walk into the store. I kept an eye on him using the concave mirrors in these store's corners. He was heading my way, so I closed the cooler door and took a detour down the candy aisle until the cop left. As soon as the coast was clear, we grabbed our booze and made our way up to the counter. Rusty shook his greasy hair and laughed like a hyena. "You boys were about to crap your pants when that cop strolled in." "We can't all have criminal records, Russ," I said with a grin. "Some of us have a future ahead of us." "You want me to card you?" he said in a tone that waffled between joking and serious. Moose elbowed me. "He's messing with your dog." I know, Rusty said as he bagged up the bottles. "A lot of hooch. You guys heading to a party?" We were quiet and Rusty rolled his eyes. "What, you worried I'm gonna show up or what? I'm 30, man. Nothing there for me but potential jail time." "Yeah," I said. "Whole senior class is going." "Nice," he said, handing over the bag. "If you need any more, I'll be here until 11. "What about some condoms?" Moose asked with a grin. "This baby thinks that he's gonna need them." "Man, you better bring enough business here from that party. I'll throw in the jimmies for free. Wrap those rascals, boys. Don't need no prizes." That was gross and I was embarrassed, but Moose and Michael laughed. I nodded because I didn't know what else to do. "Man, we better get going, Russ," I said, moving towards the door. "We're running late." "And take Denton Road," Rusty said with a laugh. Moose shrugged. "It might not be a bad idea. Probably save us some time." Michael instantly shook his head no. "Yeah, no way, not worth it. They say that anybody that goes down Denton has ghosts follow them home." "I'm not driving down a haunted road, man," I said. "Don't be a baby," Moose said. "Ghosts aren't real, it's only a legend." "Is it though?" Rusty asked. "Yes," Moose said. "It's just cornfields." "Corn has to be replanted every year," Rusty said, shaking his head. "And nobody's planting it along Denton Road. But year after year, those cornfields come back." "Yeah, I've heard that too," Michael said. "How do you know?" Moose asked Rusty. "You're not a farmer." "I have hobbies outside of this job, man. But if you don't believe me, drive down and see." "Have a good one," I said as we walked out. We piled into my truck, Moose in the passenger seat and Michael in the small fold-out side seat behind Moose. It was cramped, but he fit fine. I started the engine and took off. As we drove down Main, we saw the sign for Denton Road fast approaching. Moose looked over at me and shook his head. "Dude, it's a straight shot to Janet's house." "We don't need to get there that bad," Michael said from the back seat. "It's only 20 minutes longer down Willow Street." "Fine," Moose said, looking out the window. "I hope Brad isn't there." "Why, you afraid he's gonna beat you up?" I asked. "First of all, I'd beat him up," Moose said. Michael and I laughed. "Sure, dude." "Secondly," Moose continued, "I'm looking out for you. I heard he's got a thing for Brianna, too. You gonna give a dude like that an extra half an hour to mac on your lady? I mean, come on, he screwed the drama teacher, right?" "I don't think he got with Miss Sanderson," I said. "Well, she does fawn all over him," Michael added. Sucks if you miss out on getting to talk to her because you were too afraid to drive down a road, Moose said, expertly prodding me. He had a point. Looking back, I wish that I had the strength and conviction to ignore him, but I wasn't rational at the moment, and I have to admit, the idea of Brad hooking up with Brianna did piss me off. I pulled over to the side of the road and considered my options. I looked back at Moose and asked, "Why do you want to get there so early?" "I got a girl that I like too," he said. "It's not all about you." "Dude," Michael said, "is it worth going down Denton to save 20 minutes? What can happen in 20 minutes? "A lot can happen in 20 minutes, Moose argued. "Rockets can get to space in 20 minutes. "That is true," I agreed. "You know the legends," Michael pleaded. "The Denton family swore revenge in the town on anybody who came on their property." "Yeah, then they were wiped out by drunk hillbillies a couple 100 years ago," Moose said. "What's your point?" 100 years isn't that long," Michael countered. "They may be lying in wait." "For what, 3 dudes in a truck to drive past their burned down house and the hanging tree?" "Hanging tree," I said. "What the heck is that?" "The tree where they were all hung by the townsfolk," Moose said. "I heard they were shot." "No," Michael said. "They were beaten with farm tools, even the children. Then the townspeople put them in the house and they burned it to the ground." "Jesus," I said. "Why did they do that?" "Town thought that they were witches," Michael said. "They destroyed those people, man. Yeah, history's brutal." "Enough, man," Moose said, turning to me. "What are you going to do, sit here and talk about local legends or be the hero of the party for bringing booze and trying to get with Brianna?" I looked forward. The old weather-beaten sign for Denton Road loomed large in my view. I shifted the truck back into drive and I flipped on my blinker. I was going to take Denton Road. Michael sighed and Moose cheered. I smiled, edged my truck back on the road and turned down the street. I could practically hear the cheers from the partygoers as I showed up with a bottle of 99 bananas. Denton was a dirt road and not a well-maintained one. There were tons of potholes and my poor truck was bouncing like it was on a trampoline. I slowed my speed down to 20, but we were still bumping up and down. "The heck," I said, my voice barely audible over the din. "Dirt roads go bad fast," Moose said, "especially if nobody maintains them. You'd probably go a little bit faster though." "Hey, I'm not trying to mess up my shocks or suspension. I'm keeping the Black Bullet healthy for as long as I can." "Don't call your truck that," Moose said. "When you get a truck, you can name it whatever you want. Until then, you have no right to criticize." The sun had set, and since this was a backcountry road, there were no lights save for my headlights. As we inched along, Michael started staring out the back window intently. I would have usually just let it go, but he was staring at something on the left side of the road. "You okay?" He didn't respond right away. I was about to ask him again when he muttered, "I saw something." "Yeah, sure," I said. "Was it your virginity?" Moose said with a chuckle, "'cause we all see that." But Michael didn't laugh. He just kept staring out the window. Moose and I looked at him in the rear view before sharing a glance. We had a conversation in that glance. Michael was acting really weird. I decided to turn on the radio to fill the silence, but the thing wouldn't turn on. "What the heck?" I mumbled. Without looking up, Michael said, "This isn't a surprise." "It's the fuse," Moose said. "Remember, it was giving you issues last week." "Yeah, because you tried to fix it." "Hey man, you wanted me to try to install the system." "Well, you said you could." "I thought I could. When my cousin and I installed his system in his Civic, it worked with no problem. It's probably your crappy truck." "Dude, the Bullet is getting us to the party," I said, tapping on the steering wheel. "Don't bash her." And that's when all the lights in my cab went out. The engine sputtered and died. We rolled to a stop in the middle of Denton Road with absolutely no lights. It was pitch black and we were alone. Yeah, so much for the bullet, Moose said, and I couldn't disagree this time. This isn't good, Michael said. What if they come for us? Who? The people that were following us. It gave me pause, but my rational brain went out. I hadn't noticed anything in the mirrors. There wasn't anyone back there. They were in the corn. Alright, don't be like that, dude, Moose said. I'd be careful out there, Michael added, not looking away from the window. Moose elbowed me. You want to take a look at the engine? I nodded and Moose and I climbed out of the car. I leaned my head back in and told Michael, keep an eye out just in case. I popped the hood and Moose and I stared at the engine. I don't know crap about cars, Moose offered. Yeah, my broken radio tells me that much. Dude, he whispered, what's up with Michael? I don't know, he seems off. You think that he really saw something? I don't think so, but who knows? He's been acting weird since the store. I mean, what do we do here? He's flipping out, the car won't start, and we're stuck on Denton Road, I said, looking around. I'm not saying some ghouls are going to get us or anything, but I think you would agree that this blows. We should have stayed on Main Street, Moose offered. Yeah, no crap, I said, holding back my urge to deck him. And that's when Michael called out. It's there, in the corn. I looked at Moose and he looked back at me. He shook his head. Maybe he already broke into the booze, he whispered. What are you talking about? I yelled out. What's in the corn? The family. Not gonna lie to you, that chilled me. I wasn't thinking ghosts, I was thinking killers. Some Charlie Manson type stuff. My brain snapped into survival mode, and I thought about what weapons that we had to fight with. A tire iron, a broken bottle. Moose had said before that he knew how to make a Molotov, although I had doubts after the radio debacle. Let's go try the car again, I said to Moose. I slammed the hood louder than usual, hoping to scare off anyone who might be near us. We both climbed back into the car. Michael didn't move, he just kept staring out the window. It was like he was avoiding us. I looked at Moose and then back at Michael. Hey man, you okay? He didn't respond right away. He just kept staring out the back window. His breathing had slowed like he was afraid to make any noise. Michael, I said softly, you see something? They're watching us. They're all around us. I tried to start my truck. The engine whined and wheezed, but it wouldn't turn over. I tried again and again, and I leaned back inside. Just then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw something move along the side of the road. It might have been the wind or an animal, but I wasn't sure. I leaned over and locked my door. Just then, at the other end of the street, I saw a pair of headlights light up. Moose grinned like an idiot. Heck yeah, he said with a noticeable bit of relief to his normal non-ghost believing voice. This dude can totally give us a jump. Yeah, thank God, I muttered. Those lights aren't coming to save us, Michael said, his face still glued to the back window. What the heck is your deal? Moose demanded, but Michael didn't respond. Moose was pissed off now. Turn around and look at me, dude. He grabbed Michael's shoulder, but then my engine started. Moose and I looked forward. I did not hesitate. I pressed down on the gas pedal. The truck fishtailed a bit on the dirt road, but we lurched forward. I allowed myself to smile. That had been really weird, but we were getting out of here. And then the engine died again. We rolled to a stop. I slammed my hand into the steering wheel in frustration. What was going on? How far did you get? Michael asked. 20 feet, maybe 30, I said. Why? Those lights seem any closer. Moose and I both looked ahead. They didn't look any closer. What the heck? Moose said, his voice trailing off. How did you know that? Just then, at the edge of where my headlights reached, we saw something run across the road into the corn. "You saw?" I started, but Moose nodded, and I didn't need to finish it. "The family," Michael said breathlessly. "Man, screw the family," Moose said as he kicked open the passenger door. "I'm about to mess these people up." I reached for him, but he was out of the truck before I could grab him. He walked in front of the car, his body casting long shadows down the street, and he started screaming a string of obscenities at whoever was out there. I watched in hopes that it would scare them away, and didn't fear that they would rush him. "What is your deal?" I asked Michael. "I said not to come down this road. I said the family cursed it. I said they would be here. Is this some kind of prank you're pulling? This isn't funny, man." He slowly turned his head to face me as Moose yelled out, "What the heck is that?" I snapped my eyes forward and saw Moose staring out into the dark cornfield. Deep in the waving grains, we saw the ruins of the old Denton farmhouse. It was just a burned husk at this point. The years of neglect had left it near collapse, but it was still standing, defiant in its own way. Even though the house had no electricity running to it and nobody lived there, a light turned on in one of the rooms. I got out of the car. I still to this day don't know why I did that, and I walked over to Moose. We both stared out at the light. I nudged him and he nudged me back. I just wanted to make sure that this was all really happening. We heard a car door slam that snapped us out of our stupor. We both looked back, expecting to see Michael finally joining us, but he was still in the back seat. The heck was that? From the darkness beyond my headlights, I heard a flat, monotone voice call out, "You boys need help." Moose and I shared another conversation and a look. We hadn't heard a car pull up, or anything else, but now there was a car just outside of our field of vision. Some stranger standing in the black void, suddenly wanting to lend us a hand. It felt off. "Maybe it's Rusty," Moose offered. This would be the kind of crap that he would pull. "I don't know, dude. That ain't Rusty, man," I said. "You boys need some help," the stranger repeated. "You have any cables?" I asked, my voice wavering. My truck died." "That happens here," they said flatly. "So, do you have any cables?" "Yes," the stoic voice said. "Come here and get them." Moose said in a whisper, "Don't you dare walk to him. You make that weirdo come to us." "Just drive ahead," I said, "and we'll hook up our cars." Behind us, we could hear footsteps crunching on the gravel. It was more than one person. We both turned to see who was there, but we only found an empty truck. Michael was gone. "The heck?" I said to no one in particular. "Did someone?" And that's when Moose elbowed me. I turned around. The lights were gone. The car was gone. The man was gone. Instead, there were at least a dozen or so people holding torches in a semicircle. From what I could see, they looked like turn-of-the-century farmers. Their clothes were ratty and stained with dirt. That was bad. But what made it worse was that Michael was standing in front of the group. "Dude," I said, "what are you doing, Michael?" Moose looked at me, confused as well. "You know these people?" he whispered. "I know Michael," I said, my mind reeling. "Who's Michael?" "Our friend that's standing in front of a bunch of freaking weirdos." I'll never forget the look that Moose gave me. It was fear and confusion and terror. He barely eked out, "I've never seen that kid in my life." Have you ever felt like you were outside your own body, a spectator to things that were happening to you? Well, that's what it felt like. This couldn't have been real. It was way too messed up to be real. "He's not wrong," Michael said, flashing a mischievous grin. "We've never met." That's impossible," I stammered out. "We've been friends for years. We go to school together, for God's sake. What are you talking about, dude?" "What classes do we have together?" Michael asked, and my mind went blank. I suddenly couldn't remember any of the classes that I had with Michael. I couldn't remember hanging out with him. I couldn't remember being friends with him. I didn't have a single memory with Michael in it. It was like he had been erased from my mind. He was a stranger. "We were at the liquor store," I said, trailing off as my mind collapsed in on itself. "Were we?" he asked with a small laugh. Moose looked at me and subtly nodded towards the truck. I gave him a look that let him know that I was thinking the same thing. First chance we run. We weren't as slick as we thought we were being. "Thinking of leaving us," Michael said. "But you were so eager to join us earlier." "Look, man," I said. "I'm sorry we came down here. We didn't mean any disrespect." "You were warned. The whole town was warned, and still you didn't listen." "Yeah, we were dumb," I said, not knowing what else to vocalize. "This is our land. It always has been. Always will be," Michael said. "Everyone should stay off it." Just then, Michael let out an unearthly scream, and everybody with a torch threw them at us. Moose and I screamed as they came flying at us. We both threw our arms up to block the incoming wall of flames, but as the torches hit the ground around us, they disappeared. We were in total blackness again. Moose and I looked around. Everyone was gone. All the dirty farmers, Michael, the stranger with the car, all gone. There wasn't any noise but the corn blowing in the wind and the crickets chirping. Clouds rolled over the moon and made it so dark that you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. And that's when I felt hot breath in my right ear. Michael hissed a single word. "Run." Just then, my truck's engine roared to life. The headlights nearly blinded us, but we didn't mess around. We scrambled to our feet and dashed into the pickup. I threw it in reverse and slammed on the gas. The truck's back end slid on the gravel but finally caught, and we tore off down Denton Road. I wanted to go home, but I knew that I couldn't. Not yet. I had to confirm something. I pulled my truck into the liquor store's parking lot and we dashed inside. Rusty was still there, killing time by reading an old issue of We. He perked up when he saw Moose and me. He quickly stashed the girly mag under the counter. "Jesus, for a second I thought you were the boss. Can't get caught looking at boobs on company time. You're back for more already. This must be a rager." "Rusty," I said, catching my breath. "How many of us were there when we came in earlier?" "What?" "Just answer the question," Moose said, terrified. I followed. "Were there 2 of us or 3 of us?" Rusty shook his head. "I know down in Boone's farm gets you buzzed, but not to the point where you can't count." "Just answer," I implored. 2, he said matter-of-factly. "Just you and Moose. Why?" My heart sank. Moose and I stumbled out and climbed back into my truck. We wouldn't be attending Janet's party. I would not be talking to Brianna. This would not be a night to remember, but one that I would try to forget. We went back to Moose's house, drank every ounce of liquor, and passed out. The next day, my brain went into sanity preservation mode, and I forgot what had happened. Moose, too. We never spoke about it again. Crap, I wouldn't even know what to say. That was 10 years ago. Like I said, the story has been coming back to me lately. The dream started when I read that the Denton plot had been sold. The new owners had torn down the farmhouse and had cut down the cornfields. This news seemed to trigger flashes of remembrance that soon caught fire in my memory. Suddenly, I couldn't shake the memories no matter how hard I tried. I'm doing my best to deal, but so far, I'm struggling. I often wonder why we weren't killed that night. If legends were to be believed, anybody who tangled with the Denton family ghosts never lived to tell the story. But then it clicked. Death would be too light of a sentence for trespassers. It wasn't enough to appease the family. They wanted me to carry this fear for life. I lost touch with Moose after high school and I tried to find him online, but he seems to have disappeared. Wherever he is, I hope that he's happy. But deep down, I know that he's not. I know he's feeling this too. I think it's just a matter of time before we reconnect, and we need to, badly. Because Michael came to visit me last night.